Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV. It's time for Fixed Indy Australia once again, Aussie Online Gaming's premier open wheel series in the AusNZ sim racing community, racing the IndyCar around a variety of different racetracks. We've gone international for this one, but we come back to the United States for the final regular oval round of the season before the Aussie Online Gaming Indy 500 to close off the season. We're at Auto Club Speedway. This is the California 220 here in virtual Fontana. And to bring it to you all live here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick, I'm Reese Gardner. Brady Baldwin with me in the comms box once again, with Jake Kennedy behind the scenes pressing all the buttons. Brady, we go to a super speedway, one of the widest super speedways out there. Unfortunately, not active in the real world in this form anymore. It's been turned into a short track, but we still have it here on the sim, and it's going to provide some fantastic racing tonight.
Yeah, 100%. Reese, I got a lot of memories of watching NASCAR back in the day racing this track, and absolutely wild racing. So I couldn't imagine what it would be like in IndyCar. I only just purchased the track about 20 minutes ago, so never driven a lap around here on the sim. But like you said, it's big, it's fast, and it's wide. 3.2 kilometers, or if you're American, it's 2 miles in length. Banking in the turn 14 degrees, which is quite progressive banking in the corners. Front stretch 11 degrees of banking, apologies, and not much banking on the backstraight with only 3 degrees. And like you touched on, unfortunately closed last year, turning into a short track, which I think will be pretty interesting. But tonight we're on the big track for 110 laps of pure chaos.
Yeah, there's going to be big chaos. Slipstream is going to be paramount here, and there's a high likelihood of full course cautions with just how much speed is taken around this track and how hard the racing is likely to be. 2 miles of flat out action around here. This is the format for tonight. The drivers are currently in the middle of their 5 minutes of qualifying. They each get 2 laps to set their time for the grid, and then 110 laps or 80 minutes of time elapsed, whichever comes first. There's likely to be at least 2 pit stops. You have unlimited sets of tyres though, so you can bolt a fresh one on whenever you want. iRacing control cautions, and because it's an oval round, there's no tyre compound rules and there's no push to pass. It is all down to your talent here on the oval.
It'll be interesting to see how the strategy works out, obviously with fuel and tyres, and it'll all come down to how many cautions there are throughout the race. Hopefully not too many, but going off the practice that we've seen, it could be pretty wild out there tonight. So hopefully the guys can get a nice green flag run to start, and hopefully we can get some good long racing, and hopefully we don't reach that time limit like we did a few weeks ago, and we can get the full 110 laps in.
Yeah, certainly hoping that that is the case. Well, these are the championship standings coming into this round. Thomas Hinz with a great victory at the Hockenheim Ring a couple of weeks ago, moving ever further into the championship lead over Daniel Edmonds. Edmonds is the only one who can really overcome Hinz's points gap at this stage of the season. It's still mathematically possible for the likes of Tim Vaughan, but it's going to be difficult at the very least. Vaughan putting on a great drive at Hockenheim too. But Reese Margetts, Michael O'Brien, they're very close on points, only 1 point separating them. And Ireland, Broad, and reigning champion Dance only separated by 7 points themselves. It's all on in the back half of the top 10.
Yeah, 100%. And you start right at the top, Thomas Hinz and Edmonds, not much between them. At the moment, it is looking like a two-horse race for the championship. But if both those guys fail to perform tonight, and someone like a Tim Vaughan or Reese Margetts puts in a good performance, could really spice it up going into the final round race of the season, which will be the Indianapolis 500, which is just another chaotic race on the schedule, and anything can happen at Indy, as we've seen in the past weekend in the real life Indy 500. So, but for tonight, we're at Auto Club Speedway, beautiful sunny California, and I'm looking forward to it, Reese.
I am too. And, the AOG Indy 500 is what we're talking about, the final round of this season of Fixed Indy Australia. But of course, iRacing has their own Indy 500 running this weekend. Just make sure that you tune in for that. It's going to be an all SimSpeed associated camera crew on that particular round, on that particular race. So make sure to tune into iRacing's official channels this weekend for that. Our Indy 500 qualifying night's going to happen on the 18th of June at 8:15 at Australian Eastern Standard Time. So we're going to have a fun old time there at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And for the time being, it looks like, unfortunately, there's been a problem with the server setup for this event. Caution's not active, so seems that we are going to have to wait a few more minutes to get to the racing action.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's just one of those things with iRacing, and one button you may not click, and unfortunately, it goes to haywire. It'd be a pretty wild race if we didn't have iRacing cautions. It'd probably make everyone drive probably 50% and wouldn't put on really good racing. So we'll have to wait and see what the AOG crew, Dan, Tom, and Isaac, what they decide to do, and we'll see what happens in the next couple of minutes, Reese.
Yeah, well, we can talk a little bit more about the event to come. We're unsure exactly how far you'll be able to make it on a fuel tank for this round, but considering there's going to be likely at least 2 pit stops, we can assume that a full fuel run's going to be somewhere in the vicinity of 30 to 35 laps. And of course, it all depends on your fuel saving as well. You can tune the engine map in these cars to use a bit less fuel in the slipstream, and slipstream's going to be big here. It's not going to be like at Indianapolis, a narrower track with with more turns to negotiate. It's going to be flat out pretty much the whole way around, so you need to be right on that engine tuning button.
Yeah, 100%. If you're back in the pack a little bit as well, you can save a little bit of fuel just with your right foot as well. So potentially leading a race like this might not be the best thing to do, and you'll be using a little bit more fuel than everyone else. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Obviously, we'll probably see pretty tight pack racing all throughout the field tonight, and like we've touched on a few times already, it could be quite chaotic, but I think it'll be providing a really good strategy element to the race as well.
Yeah, big strategy element indeed. We're just waiting on news from the crew at Aussie Online Gaming as to whether we're going to go ahead with the race in this server or move to a new one. Of course, it would mean that cautions would have to be manual concerning that. So, there's words that, automatic cautions can sometimes call at the wrong time or not trigger when they should. So some drivers do make the argument that manual cautions from race control are better. So let's see if we move on forward with that.
Yeah, I know personally with dirt oval stuff, we've done it both ways of manual and iRacing automated cautions, and both have its pros and both have its cons. At least with this type of track, it is 32-second laps, 33-second laps, and we just got word we are going racing in this service. So got about 50 seconds left of warm-up race, and then we'll start the gridding sequence, and a bit more work for the race control team to do. But our starting grid will be Michael O'Brien on pole position with a 32.651, a really good lap, but only 23 thousandths behind him is from the UK. Aaron Macquarie will share the front row with him. DPR will share row number 2 with Daniel Edmonds and Ryan Jones. Dean Jacobson and Peter Baxter will start position number 5 and 6. Greg Patrick and championship leader Thomas Hinz will start 7th and 8th, and Harry Lawrence and Dylan Walker will round out the top 10.
Good performances from all of them, only covered by less than 2/10. Tyson Broad is going to start in 11th spot alongside Reese Margetts, with Scott Rankin starting lucky 13th alongside Connor Nixon on the 6th row of the grid. And then we have Christopher Ireland and Robert Baxter making their way out of 15th and 16th. Jay Stern was the last driver to set a qualifying time. Atsushi Osafune, James Glasspool, and Scott Sislovsky did not set times in qualifying. They will start from the rear of the grid, but hey, at an oval super speedway race, that's far from the worst place to be.
No, 100%. We've seen in all the other oval races this year. One comes to mind is Tyson Broad. Earlier on in the season, came from the rear and all the way to the front within the first 20-25 laps. So your night's not over if you start in 19th and 20th like the two DPR guys are. You can certainly make your way to the front early. You've got to be a little bit patient around here, especially with how fast you are going, but it's certainly possible.
Yeah, indeed. I'm pretty sure that a lot of drivers will just be running fuel map 1 on the way out of the pits, and they'll be saving as much as they can over this single formation lap to try and stretch out that first stint as much as possible. So, yes, just to clarify for those not in the know, and if you're just joining us, automatic cautions are not enabled for this server. It was a small mistake by the admin crew, but they will be calling cautions manually for this race. The no escape rule is still in effect. Drivers cannot escape back to their garage unless they request a tow from race control first. So let's see how things pan out for this 8th round, the final regular round of Fixed Indy Australia, but not quite the end of the championship.
No, not quite the end of the championship, but this race could make or break your season. We've seen already in the championship points, Thomas Hinz and Daniel Edmonds not separated by too much. So one mistake from one of those guys can give the other guy the upper hand in this championship. So there's a lot to play out in this race, and we've already touched on it. Anything can happen in Indianapolis. So those two guys will put in their best foot forward tonight, but still a lot to play out for P3 in the championship, as you can see on screen, between Vaughan, Margetts and Michael O'Brien.
Yes, indeed. Only 9 points separating the three of them. Well, we are coming to the end of the formation lap now. One of the things you have to think about is when you're under caution coming up to pit entry, you are allowed to do a fake out, but you have to rejoin the racetrack before the white line on the inside. Otherwise, it's going to be an end-of-line penalty for you. Pace car in, Michael O'Brien goes very early, and the green flag flies. We are racing at Fontana in Fixed Indy Australia into the first turn at Auto Club Speedway. Michael O'Brien is going to have a 0.3 of a second lead over Daniel Edmonds, who got a slightly better start than Aaron Macquarie, his first round in this series for the white and orange car in the DPR sandwich. But now he's going to be the bottom slice of bread because Ryan Jones is going for third into turn 3, and Edmonds trying on O'Brien for the lead coming out of turn 4.
They're already 3 wide in the middle of the pack as well, Ray. So much going on in that second pack of cars. Fantastic start as well from Michael O'Brien. Jumped the start a little bit early. Caught him napping a little bit, and he's got a nice little gap to work with now, but he's not in the slipstream at all. He's going to be reeled right back in the first couple of laps, and looks like big pack in behind these guys too. Dean Jackson, Ryan Jones, Edmonds all in there. So is Thomas Hinz at the back of the back, Peter Baxter. There's a lot going already, Reece. It's only lap number 2.
Yep, Thomas Hin's already up 3 spots and trying to improve as Greg Patrick is hugging the inside line there. Patrick is currently occupying 12th place. Didn't have the best of runs off the start there. But Rankin in 9th place, setting the fastest lap in the slipstream. There's the number 52 of Thomas Hin's championship leader, trying to fight against the 43 of Peter Baxter. There might be a little bit of side draft for him to use, but he's decided to fall back into line. The JTI team race on Oscar of Dean Jacobson looks to have a lot of pace there on the straights. What about the number 3 of Dylan Walker, fighting with Scott Rankin for 8th spot? Rankin is known to be aggressive in races with his push to pass on the road courses, but on the ovals, he's certainly fast.
Well, we've seen on lap number 1 race, we had 3 distinct groups. Now they've sort of merged into one. You sort of got the top 7 back to Macquarie and a little bit of a gap back to Scott Rankin, but those guys in behind him, they're starting to close in on this top pack, so potentially we'll see about 10, 15 potentially cars in this top group battling for the race lead. There's only 2.5 seconds separating the top 15 on the road from Michael O'Brien to Chris Olin and Scott Kozlowski, who's already moved up a few spots.
Yeah, Jacobson is really going for it, isn't he? He's hugging the inside line, had a great run through the start-finish stretch, but loses speed down low. Seems like you have to stick up a lane or 2 from the bottom if you want to carry maximum speed through the corners here. And we see how unstable these cars are in the aero disturbance. You know, these cars are trimmed out as much as they possibly can, running almost no downforce whatsoever. They'll be touching 375 k's an hour in a straight line on the way into turn 1. James Glasspool trying to make up spots after starting from the rear. He's already up 4 places and he's looking to get into 14th place versus Tyson Broad. Edmonds, meanwhile, has gone for the lead on Michael O'Brien, the championship P2 car, dialing up the aggression early on.
A good move there from Edmonds. He's decided he doesn't want to sit behind Michael O'Brien for too long, and he's now going to lead this race to start lap number 7. And biggest mover so far in this race, Reese, is Scott Rankin. He's currently +5 in the field. You said Glasspool, he's +4, and so is Scott Kozlowski from the back of the field. Greg Patrick, unfortunately, he's already down 10 spots in the number 77. So, fortunately for him, he's going to have to work a little bit harder, and also Connor Nixon +4 as well. So some movers and shakers already. We're not even up to lap 10 yet.
Yeah, indeed. Plenty of action going on here. That's a big run from one of the DPR cars down low. It's Ryan Jones getting up into the lead now. He and Daniel Edmonds are going to be working together to try and keep Michael O'Brien, Dean Jacobson, Peter Baxter behind them. And it's a DPR 1-2-3 as Baxter runs a little bit loose and has to fall down to 7th.
Unfortunately, a little lose there for Baxter. Loses a few spots on the road. Connor Nixon now on the inside. He gets the move done on Reese Margets. They'll put him into position number 9. The Reese Margets in the slipstream now will go back down the inside. Another battle for the race lead. We're nearly 3 wide for the race lead. Jacobson on the outside. Michael O'Brien through the middle. Ryan Jones on the bottom. Daniel Edmonds now back into position number 4 after leading about 2 laps ago. Ryan Jones tries to cover off. Michael O'Brien's right on the high side. Michael O'Brien will take back the race lead, but here comes Jacobson trying to follow him on the outside as well.
Yeah, Jacobson giving O'Brien a little bit of a push with the bubble of air that these cars generate at the front, but tell you what, there's a lot of extra speed in the slipstream here, and Jones at the moment is stuck down low. Big moves happening for Scott Rankin. He's made his way up to this pack now. He is right behind Jones, running in 4th place. It's going to be 5th because Edmonds gets a slightly better run out of the corner, but we've got 2 rows here, or briefly 2 rows, working with each other in the slipstream, but Jones doesn't have any help at the moment. He's had to let O'Brien and Jacobson go.
Just observing a few things on that back straight race. Ryan Jones was not in the slipstream whatsoever, right down to the inside of the racetrack. He was about 12 to 13 miles an hour slower than what Daniel Edmonds was, his teammate, who was in the slipstream. So massive difference. If you're caught out not in the slipstream, you're going to lose a lot of speed, but it's such a long race. And Scott Rankin on the outside now, use a bit of side draft. He'll move up to position number 2. He started 13th in this field, and his teammate Peter Baxter is going to follow him as well, so this could heat up in a couple of laps. Scott Rankin making moves.
Yeah, the CX2 racing cars have certainly come to fight, haven't they? Baxter and Rankin trying to regain the lead here from Michael O'Brien. They almost pincer move him coming into turn one. Rankin to the inside will go to the race lead. Baxter just hanging back there in third, but now it's Scott Rankin's turn to have no help in the slipstream. Here comes Peter Baxter. He's going to give Rankin the slipstream coming through 3 and 4.
Yeah, massive move there for Peter Baxter, 2 for the price of 1. He'll take the race lead and potentially he will lead lap number 12 of this race. But Michael O'Brien's been steady right up the front this whole race, hasn't fallen outside the top 3. I think he's been a little bit more patient. Looks like the CX2 cars pretty aggressive trying to get to the front. Are they burning up their tyres? And they're using a little bit more fuel than everyone else. We'll have to wait and see once the first stops come about. But at the moment, they're pressing on and got really good speed.
Yeah, good speed indeed. Brody going for it on the inside as up high is Rankin now. This is all of the jumping and jiving at the front of the field. No one wants to be the leader. They want to have the benefit of the slipstream, and Edmonds will go up the inside, 3 wide for the lead coming into the first turn here. But Edmonds is too tight down low and he loses momentum. He's going to fall back behind Peter Baxter as Rankin sweeps on by into second place. Dean Jacobson still following him. In the midst of all of this, I see Thomas Hins in the number 52. He's gradually worked his way up into 6th spot, and he's going to be fighting directly with Daniel Edmonds here for position, 4 points, and Edmonds is falling back ever further. He's getting swamped by the rest of the field. Connor Nixon and Scott Kozlowski, they almost pincer move him. This is looking really interesting already. Hinsey almost getting into the wall up high.
Yeah, we're starting to see the pack tighten up just a little bit and seeing some few close calls already on lap number 15. But so far, it's clean and green in this race, and big moves as well. Connor Nixon, he's sort of come out of nowhere as well. He started position number 14. He's now up to position number 7. Scott Kozlowski's right in the mix as well. He's up plus 11. Obviously, our leader, Scott Rankin, plus 12. But the interesting thing will be, these guys that try and push through the field, they'll be using up their tyre a little bit more fuel. Will that hurt them later on in the race?
Yeah, that is the question. If you're pushing hard early on, it's definitely going to hurt you, and you might have to make an extra pit stop down the line. We don't know at this stage. Things briefly calm down in the battle for the lead. It doesn't look like anyone's wanting to make big moves now. Rankin will hold fast as Greg Patrick, falling down to 17th place, has got a few more cars behind him. So keep an eye on drivers back in the field here. Atsushi Osafune has not gone forward all that much. He's got a trio at the back with Robert Baxter and Jay Stern, but man, things are really starting to fan out now here in the front pack. It looks like O'Brien's going to go to the inside of Rankin and retake the race lead, but they have got a whole pack behind them, and here comes Thomas Hins, car number 52, diving to the inside down the front stretch, and he briefly holds the lead, but the tighter line around the racetrack means that there's slightly less speed carried. But at the very least, Hinsey is up into second place, but he's fighting with his championship rival, Daniel Edmonds.
Yeah, Hinsey trying to make his first move of this race, and unfortunately, come unstuck for him, gets stuck on the bottom of the racetrack there. Going for the lead, now he's back to 4th, potentially even 5th, as the guy's fighting 3 wide over the start-finish line, nearly 4 wide across start-finish line. We've got a replay coming up on screen. Thank you to Bowler Media. There's James Glasspool on screen in one of the DPR machines. There's quite a few of them.
Whoa.
And a big slide.
Whoa.
Does he save it? He does. Fantastic save there for James Glasspool. Unfortunately, he's going to be right down the back of the field now.
Yeah, great car control, but yeah, all of that momentum lost. He's back with Baxter, Osafune, and Stern now in the 17th place. Just goes to show how easy it is to lose the rear around a track like this. You would think, oh, they're going flat out, turning left, they've got tons of downforce. Well, yeah, IndyCars produce quite a bit of downforce, but it's still not quite enough to stop the rear end from going.
Yeah, 100%, right? Especially now we're on lap number 20. The tyres are starting to go away a little bit. They're not at their optimum peak, and Daniel Edmonds looks like he's struggling on the back straight there, losing another position to Peter Baxter, who got back for a couple laps, and now the yellow flag is out. We've had an incident. James Glasswell once again.
Oh no, looks like the 227 of Jay Stern was involved in that as well. Valhalla and DPR both running into very big trouble. Glasspool has his aero damaged, and unfortunately it looks like Glasspool lost the rear end again. That's a real shame for him, to say nothing of Jay Stern, who couldn't do much to avoid this. See, the rear end just goes on entry. He tries to recover it, then he loses it again, and in comes Jay Stern.
Yeah, very unfortunate there for Jay Stone to get caught up. It looks like obviously Glasswell would have heated his tyres up quite badly with that first slide. And obviously when he gets back on the gas and unfortunately with those hot tyres, he's going to line him up once again. Unfortunately, Jay Stone nowhere to go. So 20 laps green at the start of the race. Pretty impressive run. A lot of action so far. We got told pre-race by our good friend Scott Rankin, who's currently in position number 3, that you can race 5 wide around here. We haven't quite seen that yet. We've seen a lot of 3 wide, but we're looking for 4 wide in the next green flag run.
Yeah, potentially. And no surprise to see that the field are going for the pit lane. Will any of them fake out on us? No, it doesn't look like they will. No one's electing to stay out here, and that doesn't surprise me at all. These tyres will definitely need changing after a very intense 20-lap green flag run. So now it becomes a question of who has the best virtual pit crew, who's able to bolt those tyres on in the least amount of time, and who will decide to put a little bit less fuel in the car to maybe make this stint shorter, commit to a bit more of a fuel saving strategy, which might benefit them later on. So I think it's also giving a big benefit to the drivers at the back of the field, who were falling a long way behind. O'Brien will lead the way out of pit lane, and Scott Rankin in second, Hinsey up to third. Aaron Macquarie, though, has fallen down the order quite a bit. I wasn't exactly anticipating that. Greg Patrick with a long time spent in the pit lane. Atsushi Osafune, it seems, barely did any service at all in his box, unless my timing's bugging out on me. So that's the standings coming out of pit lane.
Also picked up that Pete Baxter also missed his pit box as well, so he would have lost a couple of seconds with that, and he's now back into position number 10. He was running around the top 5 when that caution came out, so unlucky for Peter, but we've seen already in this race that people can come through the field and make up ground. So still a long way to go. We've still got just shy of 90 laps remaining in this race. I assume we'll have at least one more roll around lap behind the pace car, if not 2. And James Glasspool, I'm sure, will get the wave round. He currently 1 lap down, but it will be Michael O'Brien leading us back to green with Scott Rankin, who we touched on. So position number 13, already up in the top 2, and he's looked pretty pacey already.
Yeah, for sure. Producer Jay Kennedy confirms that Greg Patrick took the time to have a drink in the pits, apparently. Aaron Macquarie coming in once again under safety car. And this is something that you'll often see from drivers who are further down the field, but considering how well Macquarie qualified, looks like he's going for a bit of a long game plan here. It's ideal if you're not in the front group to pit twice or as many times as you can under caution, just to top up the tank and have a little bit more mileage at the end of the stint.
Well, he was running in that top group for the first stint race, but remember, he came out about 15th out of the pit, so he must have had a problem or something in the pits. Maybe took a little bit extra fuel. Now he's potentially taking more fuel on. 3.9 second stop, so not too much, just a top up of fuel, I assume. So that might help him out later in the race if he can charge his way back to the front. But if he gets stuck in the back, he won't be able to use that extra fuel that he's just taken on. So it'll be very interesting how it works out for Aaron Macquarie back there.
At the very least, he'll have the slipstream of literally everyone ahead of him, aside, of course, from James Glasspool, last running car on the lead lap. He'll be given a free kick thanks to that caution. His car's repaired, and he'll have a second chance at getting to the finish. Jay Stern, unfortunately, falling a lap down on everyone else thanks to his incident when Glasspool spun ahead. But it's the end of the caution, and we're getting back to green flag racing here. A long, long getaway from Michael O'Brien. and he's taken the rest of the field by surprise. Single file restart. We are back to green flag at the start of the 24th lap of 110. And already Daniel Edmonds making moves on Dean Jacobson there to get into 4th place. And now he'll try and charge forward to Rankin and Hinz, who are battling over 2nd spot. Hinsey lifting off and just falling behind Rankin for a brief time. But will Hinsey want to race aggressively towards the front here? Look at them, they're already catching up to Michael O'Brien again. No help for the 45 in the slipstream.
That's 2 starts now that Michael O'Brien's caught him a bit off guard and got on a really good getaway, but the non-benefit of being the race leader, you're not going to have any slipstream, so they're going to reel him right back in. So he's probably had 1 lap and a half of clean air, not worrying about someone right behind him, but now Scotty Rankin and Thomas Hinz right there under his rear wing. Won't be too far away before Edmonds, Jacobson and co. They start to catch him as well. It looks like Thomas Hinz trying to look around the outside potentially of Scott Rankin, but I don't think he's got quite enough slipstream as Rankin now potentially going around the outside of Michael O'Brien. Start of lap number 26 here tonight. He's going to run the extreme high side. O'Brien on the bottom. Here comes Hinz down on the inside as well. He's going to come to the middle lane, but Scott Rankin will have the momentum on the outside. Will keep 2nd and potentially challenge again Michael O'Brien for the race lead.
Yeah, O'Brien is sticking all the way down low, and it seems like Hinsey's following him. Same for Daniel Edmonds too, who's making some big lunges forward here. He's almost with this top 3 pack, and in fact he is with them now as they start lap 27. Track temperature about 47 degrees Celsius at the moment, which means if you have a slide, those tyres will be massively overheated. Hinsey is going for the lead now versus O'Brien as Edmonds tries to pass Rankin for 3rd place.
Yeah, Edmonds making moves as well into 4th. Looks like Scotty's tamed it down a little bit from that first stint. We've seen how aggressive he was in that first stint. He's let Hinsey by, he's let Edmonds by. Maybe he's potentially happy to just sit behind, save a little bit of fuel in this stint, look after his car and bring it home for a good stint later on, as Thomason's still trying to make the outside work on Michael O'Brien. He's going to try and dart back to the inside, side by side, bit of side drafting now, down the back straight, and Thomas Hinz will take the race lead into turn number 3 as Daniel Edmonds tries to follow suit on the inside.
This is one of the fastest oval tracks in America, at least it was in the real world. Many amazing qualifying speeds being run here at this track, but race speeds running about 360 at the front of the field as Edmonds moves through to the lead of the race. Bit of side draft now for Thomas Hinz. The top 2 in the championship currently running 1 and 2 as things stand. Hinsey moving into the race lead. Edmonds is not going to let him have it though. He's protecting the inside. Can't quite move ahead. There is enough overlap there for Hinsey to be entitled to the line next to him. There were some supplementary rules published by Race Control on oval tracks. As long as your front wing is alongside the rear axle of the car you're trying to pass, you are entitled to racing room, and the drivers have to give about a car's width gap at all times if that is the case. So Race Control are right on it here. They don't want people taking each other out.
It's certainly a challenge for these drivers as well. They've been quite adaptable throughout this season, obviously going from road courses to fast ovals like this. We've had smaller ovals like Iowa, and massive challenge for these drivers to adapt to each style of racetrack. Is still side by side for the race lead between Thomas Hinz and Daniel Edmonds. Hinz preferring that middle groove, while Edmonds trying to use that bottom side and try and come up the track just to potentially break momentum of Thomas Hinz, but the momentum on the outside is so good, and Michael O'Brien still hanging on to 4th now. Harry Lawrence moving up to position number 4. Scotty Rankin, he's now dropped back to 6th. He might even lose that to Dean Jacobson, Peter Baxter right behind him.
Yeah, the Packers caught back up to the top 3, and oh dear, that's another problem there for Jay Stern, it seems. That's a real shame for him. Well, Greg Patrick is in the lane too. The caution is out, Seems like Stern wasn't able to make it into the pits there, if that even was Stern I was looking at. No, it was Robert Baxter, my apologies. Got the liveries confused there. So it seems there's been a problem for Baxter at the rear of the field, and it was contact with Greg Patrick. That's the reason why Patrick's in the lane. So Patrick was in the slipstream here of Baxter. Car on the outside. Baxter turns in. Patrick, though, was alongside, and the cars were locked together.
That's a pretty big accident. I think potentially just Robert Baxter not being aware of that car coming up so fast behind him on his inside. Unfortunately, both make contact. I think it looks like Robert Baxter had the worst of it. He didn't make it in the pit lane. He pulled up on the front straight, which was the cause of the caution. Greg Patrick, he did make it in the pit lane, got his car repaired up. So from what I've seen, Robert Baxter has towed back to the pit lane. He'll have to wait to get that car repaired. I believe he can come back out, but he probably will be a few laps down by the time he gets that car repaired. So short little green flag run there, about 8 or 9 laps. Daniel Edmonds is your current race lead over Thomas Hinds. Connor Nixon into 3rd, Mock O'Brien 4th, Harry Lawrence 5th, and Scotty Rankin back into 6th. We touched on it. Not as aggressive in that little stint there, but will anyone come down pit road, Reese? They're all lining up on the inside. Will anyone duck to the lane? Looks like Nixon potentially, and so does Thomas Hinds. Nixon, O'Brien, Lawrence. The only guy that hasn't pitted, looks like, is Daniel Edmonds.
Yeah, Edmonds has been left hung out to dry, it seems. That's not going to be good for him when we go back to green flag racing. But Thomas Hinds and pretty much everyone behind, save for Ireland, Jones and Margetts, making their way into the lane. Looks like Edmonds, Ireland, Jones and Margetts trying to play the team game here. DPR committing to running together. All 4 of their cars now occupy the top 4 positions.
Yeah, very interesting call. Obviously, they made that decision together, and looks like Thomas Hinds has beaten Mock O'Brien out on pit road as well, so he'll be the leader of the guys that have pitted during this cycle. He'll restart position number 5. Peter Baxter also making up ground from his earlier pit stop mistake when he missed his pit box. But yeah, it's very interesting that these guys up in front of the 4 DPR cars, have not pitted. They don't have too many laps on their tyres, but I haven't driven an IndyCar enough to know what the tyre wear is like. 5 to 8 laps difference what they have. So interesting to see what happens on this restart race.
Yeah, I'll be interested too. I mean, if we do end up going green again for another 20 laps or so, that's going to be bad news for the DPR quartet at the front of the field. They'll have practically no speed at all, but it's still really early runnings in this race. We are less than a third of the way through the race, but look at how hot the track remains here. 46 degrees Celsius, so it has dropped down 1 degree in just the last couple of moments, but unlimited sets of tires means that, you know, you have the liberty to pit every single caution if you want to. I'm not sure why the DPR cars have elected to stay out.
Yeah, it's a very interesting strategy. So obviously they'll lose out on fuel as well, and also having older tyres on their cars. So we've seen how big the draft is tonight, so they're just going to get swallowed up in the draft anyway. So it's interesting. As I said, I'm definitely not an oval expert. I'm more of a dirt oval expert. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting how it plays out probably in the next 5 to 10 laps. And like you touched on, if we get a long green flag run again like we did at the start of the race, I think they're in quite a bit of trouble.
Yeah, well, wave around being assigned for Jay Stern. He is back on the lead lap. Robert Baxter now the only car a lap down. He is right in the middle of the top pack at the moment. He's behind the DPR cars and in front of Thomas Hinds. So that's going to be interesting to see how they work their way around him on this next green flag run. In terms of the lights on the safety car, they are out. So we are going to be going green at the end of this lap. Pace car will come in just a few moments' time. And running nice and high is absolutely everyone trying to get the best run possible to the start-finish line. DPR 1, 2, 3, 4 at the front of the field. They will be coordinating the start between them to try and get a leg up on everyone else. Green flag flies, and we are away. And that is a perfectly executed restart from the DPR cars. Greg Patrick is going to fall behind. So is Thomas Hinz and everyone behind him for position.
Yeah, it's we touched on a bold strategy for the white cars down front, but looks like they got a nice little jump earlier on. Greg Patrick, he is a lap down, so unfortunately Thomas Hinz will have to negotiate Greg Patrick before he can get onto the back of the DPR cars. But a lot of battling in the mid back here between Pete Baxter, Scott Rankin, Sislowski, Jacobson, Nixon, and Walker, all separated by nothing coming off turn number 4. Rankin is leading that pack, but looks like Dylan Walker potentially trying to get a move done on Dean Jacobson, but Jacobson holding on for the moment. Walker ran the outside of Nixon, and here comes James Glasspool as well. After that crash earlier on, got his fast repair. He's moving back through the field.
Yeah, James Glasspool and Scott Sislowski are the other 2 DPR cars in this field, and they are back in this pack right now. Look at that there from the drop bear car of Dylan Walker, going right through the middle and going to the front of the pack. Very nicely done, but I don't know if they're going to be losing time to the front pack here. Speaking of the front pack, change for the lead. Chris Ireland getting ahead of Daniel Edmonds, and Thomas Hinz is already caught up to the top 4.
That was a very impressive move from Walker. It was nearly like an IndyCar slide job through the middle of turn number 3. Very impressive. Unfortunately, he got that spot on Peter Baxter. Now he's lost it. He's going to be under pressure with a 3-wide situation between Glasspool, Tyson Broad, and also Aaron McCrory working his way back through the field. Remember, he pitted twice under that last safety car. A little bit more fuel, another fresh set of tyres, and he's charging through the field at the moment.
Yeah, Macquarie looking very aggressive here. He is up behind Dylan Walker now to get back into the top 10. Lovely stuff, seeing all the different strategies at play here. Hinz gets up into 3rd place. It's him making his way past Reece Margette's 4th place, sorry. Ryan Jones, the next car up ahead of him, as Edmonds has taken the lead back from Ireland. It looks like Edmonds and Ireland are working together in the lead right now, with Ryan Jones playing rear gunner.
It looks like Jones is going to turn into IndyCar Fernando Alonso and try and hold off Thomas Hinz to make any progress. Looks like Margette's is now go back to position number 5, so he doesn't quite have enough speed to run with Thomas Hinz. Hinz will try and stay in that draft of Ryan Jones, but how defensive will Ryan Jones be in playing that rear gunner role for Edmonds and Ireland? Remember, Edmonds and Thomas Hinz are battling for the championship, so Edmonds will be looking for any help he can get, and currently Thomas Hinz cannot quite get past Ryan Jones, but he's going to continue on for the start of lap number 41 race.
Yep, Hinzy maintaining momentum here up the inside. He has to lift out just to make sure that he doesn't use up the front tyres too much. And the caution is back out again. Something's gone very wrong indeed for Robert Baxter and Jay Stern. Oh man, if your name is Jay or it ends with Baxter, it's been a very tough night.
Yeah, just looking at the replay race, it looks like Robert Baxter was slowing down to come into the pit lane to serve his penalty, and Jay Stern has probably not been paying attention too much and did not check up and drilled the back of Baxter, unfortunately. It's a pretty big mistake there for Jay Stern. Unfortunately, he's got pretty big damage, and Baxter, for the second time, has quite big damage, and you only got 1 fast repair in this race, so Peter Baxter is pretty much going to be out for a long part of this race now, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Robert Baxter with some hard fortunes at the moment, and I would suspect that there's a penalty to be incoming from Jay Stern, because yeah, I mean, looking at that incident, it was pretty obvious from a long way back that Baxter was slowing down to take his penalty. It was for contact with Greg Patrick back on the 31st lap. So just unfortunate, really, the incident that brought out the last caution that gave him that penalty. Baxter even said in the InSim chat that he was pitting in, so I don't think Jay Stern really has an excuse. But looking at the front of the field here, oh, interesting. Fake out there from Chris Ireland at the front of the field, and he did it exactly the right way. That was according to race control's rules. But everyone from 9th back has decided to come into the lane. Rankin, Walker, Baxter, Macquarie, Jacobson, Broad, Nixon, Osafune, and Sislowski.
Yeah, a lot of guys have pitted. And one to watch will be Aaron McCory. Remember, he pitted twice on that last safety car period. If he'll have a little bit more fuel on board, so a little bit less to take. Don't be surprised if he jumps up a few spots as well. It's a pretty quick pit stop there. Scott Rankin, he wasn't in the box too long, but I'm watching Aaron McCory at the moment. Does he make up any ground? He's made up, I think, potentially one spot. I think he's just in behind Peter Baxter, actually, so maybe only one spot gain for Aaron McCory, but one spot's better than none.
Yeah, and I think Macquarie's just looking at buying a ticket to the last 10 laps or so of this race. So his running position, as things stand, isn't going to mean much in the short term, but long term, it may very well. He's out ahead of the two drop bear cars there of Connor Nixon and Tyson Broad. So we shall see where Aaron Macquarie goes from here. He is, of course, a bit of a foreigner to the series. He's from the UK and is only racing for the first time in fixed Indy Australia. So he's a bit of a wild card.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything of him, and he's seen qualified P number 2, so he's obviously got some speed, and we see him run up the front earlier on in the race. He's got a little bit of a different strategy throughout this race, so we'll see how he plays out towards the end of the race. But friendly reminder, you got the ticker on the screen. The top 8 did not pit under that last caution, so Scott Rankin is your current leader of the guys that have pitted under that last safety car. So be interesting to see. And Scott Rankin also will have Greg Patrick, who is now actually getting a wave around by the looks, who is one lap down. So Greg Patrick should go around the field. He will be back at the back of the pack, and he will not be in the field. And this is Chris Island's fake. It was very, very close race. Is that the line? If they touch that line, is that a penalty? I wasn't up to spec on the regs.
Looking at the regulations, I'm just going to bring up the driver's notes. You are allowed to touch the curved section of it, but you must get back onto the banking before the solid white line separating from the banking from the apron resumes along the front stretch. So yeah, it looks like he did cross it a little bit with one of his tires, so maybe he's going to get an end-of-line penalty for that.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at the photo now, Reese. Oh,
it was close.
I mean, it's very close.
The trick of the light, the shadows make it seem like he crossed it, but he was just touching it.
I think that's going to be a 50-50 call, to be honest, Reese. I'm actually having a look at the regs now, and yeah, I think that's going to be a 50-50 call. And we just got the all clear from race control that it was okay. So living on the edge is Chris Holland, as he will lead the field away to start lap number 45. We're nearly halfway through the race, Reese.
All right, here we go then. Good start from Ireland. Edmonds and Jones together for second and third. Hinsey rapidly getting up to speed, wants to try and keep Margetts behind him. And we can't forget about pole sitter Michael O'Brien. He's back in 6th place now, and he's right at the front of the pack with them. Edmonds will move to the inside of Ireland to go for the lead, but there's not enough momentum being preserved down on the inside. DPR still 1, 2, 3. Hinsey catching them, but there's nothing he can do. The DPR cars are boxing him in.
Thomas Hinds is currently stuck in that triple-decker sandwich of the DPR cars, currently back in position number 5, but here comes Harry Lawrence and also Michael O'Brien as well, starting to charge up through the field. Edmonds now has dropped from right up the front now, going back to 5th now. Thomas Hinds gets that move done, position number 3 through the middle now. Here comes Harry Lawrence on the outside, trying to get a move done on Thomas Hinds. Will he get it clear in the exit? Just about, and he will now go to position number 5. So a lot of changing of positions the first couple laps of this restart race.
Yeah, you see how strong the slipstream is. Harry Lawrence had to rapidly back out of it behind Daniel Edmonds as Rankin takes the fastest lap of the race. Rankin is now right with them as well. He's fighting hard. James Glasspool has worked his way back into the top 10. O'Brien just sitting back, I think, because he's getting past left, right, and center, it seems. Dylan Walker. Oh, Walker gets into the wall. Oh, dear. There's a lot of momentum lost there for the drop bear number 3, and Aaron Macquarie's going to sweep on through to take 10th place.
Yeah, the big swap of the wall there for Dylan Walker, and going to lose a lot of speed. Doesn't look like he has any damage on the side of that car, so he'll keep pressing on, but he would have lost a lot of mile an hour on that contact, and he'll unfortunately drop to position number 10 as the top 9 are pretty close together. Scott Rankin still in position number 9, hasn't made up any spots, but he's made up a lot of track position and closing into the back of this pack. But like you touched on, Michael O'Brien sort of sitting back for the moment, letting the race play out. This is on board Dylan Walker, thanks to Bowl Media with the replay, and here's the contact. Quite a big hit.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like much on camera, but trust me, there's a lot of force going through the car there, and rubbing up against the wall, he would have gotten some wheel damage from that potentially. So Christopher Island and Ryan Jones will lead the way. Drivers like Dylan Walker turning up the aggression, particularly in the case of Harry Lawrence. He's right with the DPR cars now. James Glasspool with them as well, trying to join his teammates. But interesting to note that drivers like O'Brien and Hins, they are hanging back. They are not being as aggressive as all these other drivers are. They're in the middle phase of the race now. They are thinking about staying in it to the end. This is the point where, you can't afford to be too aggressive, otherwise you could stand to ruin your whole night.
I definitely think it is strategic from O'Brien and Macquarie as examples for staying a little bit too far back, so I think looks like he's going to be hitting up in just a moment, where 3 wide times 2 coming into turn number 1. Down the inside is Christopher Island, but on the outside is his teammate Ryan Jones now into the lead. But here comes Harry Lawrence, who's been moving throughout the field at a rapid pace. On the outside goes to position number 2, but here comes Rankin now for position number 5. They're bunching up. Something's going to happen very, very soon, I think, Reese.
Yeah, Dylan Walker down on the inside there of Scott Rankin. And Lawrence will move to the inside down the front stretch to take the race lead. 3 wide for P1 across the line. It's 2 wide, 2 deep. Now 3 wide for third place. Dylan Walker right in the middle, squeezing the DPR car of Chris Ireland down there, and Ireland loses momentum. Here comes Walker again. Lawrence starts to drop back. Rankin is right in the midst of the battle for the top 3 now as well. This is pack racing at its finest.
Yeah, where has Tyson Broad come from as well? He's come right through the field. He's now up to position number 5, making gains. And now he's on the inside of Dylan Walker. We're nearly 4 wide for the race lead. Tyson Broad now into the race lead from absolutely nowhere. He's taking the race lead. Rankin right on the outside, trying to get it done as well. Jones back into second. This is some hectic racing race.
Very hectic indeed. Down to the inside dives Scott Rankin. Ryan Jones briefly holds the race lead, but Rankin will move on through to it. It's a big push from the drop bear duo of Broad and Walker. Let's see if it pays off for them, if they can stay in it here. But, if you're in the midst of a pack like this, you're just looking all around you, trying to figure out where you can put your car. If there is one mistake made in this pack, that is the big one, and that is the next caution. So the drivers need to just back out of it a little bit, calm down, reassess. They can't afford to get too close, but they do get very close on the way into turn 4.
It looks like Aaron Macquarie potentially for a moment had front wing damage, but it was a bit of a in-racing glitch. Fortunately for him, he does have his front wing, but now look at Tyson Broad back through the middle once again with a bit of side draft assistance of Scott Rankin and also Ryan Jones. He'll go back to the race lead, and Rankin, remember, he was the leader of the cars that pitted on that last caution. He's now back into the top 3, and still Michael O'Brien and co. They're sitting back. They're outside the top 10. O'Brien's 13th at the moment. He's just sitting back waiting for the end of this stint, hopefully going green for a long time. But Tyson Broad sort of come out of the mist, come out of nowhere. He's now into the race lead and quite comfortably at the moment.
Yeah, looks like we've had a lot of drivers be falling down the order, those that didn't pit under the last caution. We are halfway through the race, 55 laps to go here at Auto Club Speedway. And, 2 cars are off on the apron. Oh, dear. Massive crash between Peter Baxter and Dean Jacobson. Jacobson will get back onto the racetrack with half of his car. The caution is thrown by race control. All that great racing we have just seen coming to an abrupt end thanks to, it seems like, Dean Jacobson bouncing off Connor Nixon and into Peter Baxter down the back straight.
If there was any contact between Jacobson and Connor Nixon, it was so minor. I don't think, potentially just a bit of air disturbance from Jacobson. It's pulled his car left to the inside. Unfortunately, Peter Baxter nowhere to go. If we can potentially get a rear view camera in slow motion, you'll be able to get a good view of it. Like, I'm having a look at it now, Race. I don't think there's any contact with Nixon. If there is anything, it's very, very minor. Fortunately, Jacobson and Peter Baxter suffering some major damage. Baxter currently on the entry to the pit lane. Jacobson already in the lane, so they'll get their cars fixed and back out on the track, but unfortunately right at the back of the field. But who will pit under this caution? Surely the guys that did not pit under that last safety car will have to pit now. Is Tyson Broad going? Tyson Broad is going, and so is Scott Rankin once again. Who is staying out is the question. Doesn't look like anyone will be staying out. It looks like everyone is coming to pit lane.
Yeah. Big problem, meanwhile, for Dean Jacobson. He was trying to slow down for his pit box, but ended up spinning because the left side wheels weren't attached. So there was absolutely no grip in that car. So he's had to tow back to his pit box as a result. That's a huge blow for Dean Jacobson, who was battling for the lead early on. But pit stops are being made here, and Michael O'Brien briefly gets into the lead in the pit lane. But who leads on the way out? It is Tyson Broad. Ryan Jones and Harry Lawrence will complete the top three so far. So Jones, being one of the DPR cars that stayed out under the last caution, he's played this really well.
Yeah, 100%. And it's working out for some guys and not working out for some others on board with one of the DPR machines. Mid-pack, this is Solowski in the mid-pack. And see, right behind where Jacobson and Baxter made contact, it looks like, Jacobson just comes down unfortunately into Baxter. And
he's correcting his trajectory.
Looking actually at the pit exit between Scott Rankin and Harry Lawrence, absolutely nothing between those guys on the pit exit. It might be up to race control who gets out in front there, but it looks like Lawrence has just got it over Rankin, but it wasn't by much.
Yeah, well, pit stops are complete, and looks like Nixon and Ireland had the longest pit stops of anyone there if you're not one of the cars involved in the crash. Nixon with a 14-second stop, Ireland with 24 seconds in the lane. That is a lot of time spent there for Chris Ireland. Where did Chris qualify? 15th place. So he's sort of back where he qualified, but he could potentially race his way forward to the front again. And coming out of pit lane, look at how close it was. Absolutely
nothing between Rankin and also Harry Lawrence there. Absolutely nothing between them. And we've seen it in every oval race so far. Look at the super slow-mo race between Lawrence in the white and fluoro green machine, and Rankin in the pink flamed coloured car. Absolutely nothing in that. Lawrence has been given the position, but I mean, on that angle, it looks like Rankin's actually in front, but potentially with the nature of the pit exit there, Lawrence just gets it. But I mean, one position's not going to really matter in this type of racing. We've seen in every oval race so far this season. You can count from the back and make it to the front quite easily, and still got a long way to go in this race. Just over 50 laps remaining, so still a long way to go.
Yeah, but we should be able at this stage to complete the race on laps. The timer won't kick in for quite some time unless we have like 4 more caution periods or something like that. I mean, it's certainly in the realms of possibility, but for the time being, it's looked like the majority of the field has raced very cleanly. We haven't seen any huge incidents involving multiple cars. It's been at most 2 cars involved in an incident. Great testament to the skill of these drivers as we're back to green flag racing with Tyson Broad in the lead here in California.
Yeah, Tyson Broad led him away. A bit of a surprise. We touched on before coming through the field. Now as the race leader, we're already 3 wide into turn 1 between the DPR cars. Also, Michael O'Brien and Aaron Macquarie, a really speedy restart as well, up into position number 7. Already got 1 spot. Waiting for Michael O'Brien, was a winner at a previous oval race this season. He was up the front, qualified pole position, but he sort of dropped back in this middle phase of the race. potentially hoping for some late race cautions, potentially catch up, or just saving his car for the end of the race. We'll have to see. They're still battling up the front between Harry Lawrence and also Scott Rank for position number 4, and now it's on for the race lead as well as we have another caution straight away. It's Asushi Asafuni on the front straight.
Yeah, oh dear. Looks like Osafune. A bit of a bizarre incident there. It seems like Osafune was trying to maintain his line and lost momentum. And Connor Nixon just went into the rear of him as he pushed up the racetrack. So Osafune gets past there by Greg Patrick, and then he slows down a little bit. Here comes Nixon, just a little bump, and around goes the Japanese driver.
Yeah, unfortunately, just minor contact, unfortunately, sees him around. Doesn't look like Asafuni has any noticeable damage on my end, so he should be able to continue on. Unfortunately, did not get a lap in there, so unfortunately, that's potentially more laps potentially taken away, but these guys can do long green flag runs. We had a 20-lap run at the start of the race, so if we get one of those in for a while, we should be able to finish it in the 110 laps. We've got the timer now on screen, 33 minutes 15. We're on lap number 62, so just under 50 laps remaining. Hopefully these guys can get it in, Reese.
Yeah, so that gives me, okay, so if we were to go green in the next lap or so, it'd be 25 minutes to make up those last 50 or so laps. So we'll still be able to make it in, but I think one more caution and then it'll be in jeopardy whether or not we go time certain or not. Broad faking out into the pits, but committing to the pit lane is Ryan Jones.
Ryan Jones has come into the lane. Remember, he was part of that DPR group that didn't pit under one of those safety cars. It looks like a few more of the DPR cars as well. So it's Island and Jones, but Edmonds has stayed out, Margetts has stayed out, so they've sort of split the DPR cars up, a few pitting and a few not, so just going to see how it plays out. Because in the race, Nixon also in the pit lane, Safone's also in the lane, Peter Baxter, so quite a few guys in the pit right now, Reese.
Yeah, quite a few indeed. So Jones will lead the way out there with a 4.2 second stop. Seslowski will come out behind him. Nixon for Drop Bear Motorsport will assume 14th place. Chris Ireland just comes out behind him. So yeah, Jones, Seslowski and Ireland were the 3 DPR cars to pit there. Dean Jacobson, who was recovering from his earlier crash, stayed out under that pit cycle, and he's gotten back onto the lead lap for his troubles. So that's good news there for the BE Electrical race on OzCar. But he'll commit himself to a slightly earlier pit stop if we stay green, which is looking ever more unlikely as this race wears on. It seems like we've gotten a caution roughly every 10 laps or so.
Yeah, I was pretty optimistic after that first 20-lap run that we would get a few long runs in this race, but unfortunately I think it's just the high-speed nature of this track, and probably not a common track in these cars as well, so pretty unfamiliar territory for a lot of guys. So unfortunately we've had a few cautions, but like you touched, we haven't really had a big one yet. Only 1 or 2 cars involved. I think the first caution with Glasspool did have 3 cars involved in the end, but generally it's been pretty good racing and pretty exciting as well. Hopefully we can get a long green flag run towards the end of this race and we can finish it within the 110 laps.
Yeah, here's hoping. Well, lights are off on the pace car. We'll be going green at the end of this lap. Question is, who is best placed on fuel? I mean, the answer seems easy. It's everyone from Ryan Jones back, save for Dean Jacobson, who pitted on the previous lap. Jacobson will get the wave around and gets back onto the lead lap. Good stuff there. He'll have just enough time to make his way to the back of the field before we go green once again. But yeah, we won't really find out until the last 35 to 40 laps who is best placed at the moment. 35 to 40 laps, 37 to 40, sorry, is the approximate laps to a tank of fuel, depending on the slipstream.
Yeah, so even at the 40 marker for fuel, if we stay green for the rest of the race, it's going to be very, very tight. and potentially a splash and dash towards the end. That's if we stay green. I don't think we will stay green. I still suspect one more caution in this race as the lights are out on the pace car. We're going green this time by to start lap number 65. And once again, with Tyson Broad for Drop Bear Motorsport leading us away from Dylan Walker and Harry Lawrence. Tyson Broad leaving it pretty late. He's on the gas now. We're green flag racing once again. Start lap number 65 here at Auto Club Raceway.
He saved it right to the call of the green flag, and it's been executed well between Broad and Walker. 1-2 at the front of the field and gaining on Harry Lawrence, but now the slipstream will come into effect and Lawrence will jet right up to them. Scott Rankin trailing behind. James Glasspool, one of the DPR cars, up behind there, as to the lead goes Dylan Walker. The top four glued together as Rankin tries for third, potentially second. Tyson Broad will stay in the slipstream of Dylan Walker. The Drop Bear cars executing this restart perfectly. Now they're working together, but this is the chance that Rankin has to try and throw a spanner into the works.
Yeah, Scotty Rankin trying to get a move done. We've had 2 penalties come through. Dean Jacobson and Connor Nixon have been dealt primary causes of the last couple of cautions, and they will be taking a tour through pit lane, so their races are going to get an awfully lot harder, especially if we have a long green flag run here. But Scott Rankin trying to work around the outside, trying to follow Tyson Broad. Here comes the side draft now down the front stretch. Who will lead the lap? It is Tyson Broad by 17 thousandths of a second over Scott Rankin, who will lead into turn number 1. Rankin on the top, Broad on the bottom. Looks like Broad will get the momentum throughout the middle of the corner, but here comes Rankin now on the back straight. Here comes Harry Lawrence as well, charging for third, potentially even for more.
Aaron Macquarie is right in the midst of all of this as well as Rankin gets to the lead. You'll look a few cars behind, see the white and orange machine. He is right with them now. Aaron Macquarie up to 6th spot. And he's going to try and find a way through here. Who does he glue to for the slipstream? He's on the inside. He'll have to commit to the slipstream on Scott Rankin.
Yeah, he'll have to. Now Rankin goes into the race lead. What will Tyson Broad do? He goes straight back on the attack down the inside using that side draft. And here comes Connor Nixon, who just came out of the pit lane, so he's going to throw a spanner in the works. Nixon's going to hold the very inside. Does Broad go back to the bottom, use his slipstream? He does, and now Aaron Macquarie into second place from nowhere. He was about P6 a lap ago. Now Tyson Broad trying to use the slipstream from his team, and here comes Macquarie trying to make it 3 wide. Macquarie now into the race lead. What a move from the UK driver.
That was brave from Aaron Macquarie. He was depending on Broad moving up a little. Saw him coming. There was no way Nixon was going to move. He was all the way down on the inside. Nixon, of course, a lap down now, which is going to make things a little difficult for the drivers at the front of the field. Yes, there goes Scott Rankin. He's trying to defend from Michael O'Brien, and Harry Lawrence gets up the inside of Tyson Broad and has the slipstream of the lap down car of Connor Nixon. I tell you what, Nixon, in terms of everyone at Drop Bear Motorsport, his penalty might have actually helped them out in the long run, because now both Walker and Broad have an extra car to work with.
Yeah, 100%, and it's going to be a little bit awkward potentially for other guys trying to get in with Connor Nixon, who's moving all over the track. I'm not sure what the rules are if you are a lap down in IndyCar, whether you can move around or you're meant to hold a line. I'm not too sure, but a few guys are chatting over the radio, potentially could be about that. Aaron Macquarie is still lead, but here comes Tyson Broad now back to the inside. This could be interesting on the inside. Does Tyson Broad try and get down the inside of Nixon, who's holding the bottom of the racetrack? Macquarie will stay just a car width above Connor Nixon. Will hold the race lead, but here comes Michael O'Brien. He was mid-pack for most of the race, and now he's working his way back to the front in position number 2.
Now Nixon moves to the high line, and oh no, Lawrence gets into the wall. Harry Lawrence just brushing the safer barrier with his front right tyre. He's lost a lot of pace there. He'll fall all the way down to 15th place. The battling continues at the front of the field though. Aaron Macquarie, Scott Rankin, Tyson Broad and Michael O'Brien have made their way past Connor Nixon. So now they can fight as much as they want for the top 4 positions, let alone the top 5, because James Glasspool is still right in it.
You remember Glasspool at the start of the race had a pretty big accident. He's come from the rear a couple of times. He's now moved up to position number 4, now to 3rd. Will he have more? The gap at the line was 24 thousandths of a second between Macquarie and Rankin. Here comes Broad once again through the middle. 2 for 1, potentially on the exit of turn number 2. He will get it done. Back in the race lead for the 27 of Tyson Broad. Macquarie on the bottom. No draft assistance for Macquarie. Here comes Scott Rankin now. Back past him. Here comes Michael O'Brien as well. So Macquarie first to fourth in a matter of seconds.
And a big loss of speed for James Glasspool and all of that. Thomas Hinz had to really back out of it, and that's cost him a little bit of time. Hinsey at the moment running in 7th spot and trying his best to work his way through the sea of DPR and drop bear cars at the front of this field. Broad still holds on to it. This is such an intense race. That's contact further back there, and falling down the order is Aaron Macquarie. Oh, such a shame for Aaron. He's lost all of his pace. It doesn't look like there's any steering in the car left. The caution flag has been thrown, and Macquarie will have to come back to the pits. That is a disaster for the driver who started on the front row. It just looks to me like he washed up the track a bit and then, unfortunately, got tagged by Dylan Walker.
Yeah, he did get tagged by Walker. Unfortunately, got into the back of him and probably straight into the wall. And unfortunately, his race is going to be pretty well affected from that. This is on board with Dylan Walker. In behind Macquarie. There's a lot going on at the front of this field race. Now, okay, thanks to our Bowler Media replay, a lot going on in the background as well. While under caution, he does Macquarie on the inside, comes up, which he's allowed to do. Keeps the room there, and looks like Walker, as he goes to cross him under, just hoops him in the left ramp, puts him in the wall.
Yeah, once again, disaster for Aaron Macquarie. He's obviously stayed out, not going instantly for pit lane, but I can already tell looking at his car that the suspension is damaged. It's twitching around as the rest of the field is going to come into the pit lane. This will be a good opportunity for Macquarie to get a spare car potentially and start all over again here with 36 laps to go in the race. Unsure once again if we're going to be going time certain, but yeah, oh man, such a shame for Aaron Macquarie. His momentum had built right up, and now it's all the way back to zero as everyone, save for Greg Patrick, is in the pit lane right now. Patrick, of course, wanting to get a lap back.
Tyson Broad will also win the race on pit road as well. Rankin second, O'Brien third, Nixon, who's still a lap down, and Edmonds in behind them. So looks like Tyson Broad will still be our race leader. Greg Patrick is leading on our timing screens. I don't think he was a lap down. I think he's genuinely on the lead lap, and he's now the effective race leader.
Yeah, okay, so Greg Patrick's been out there for 18 laps now. So, yeah, I thought he was a lap down. He wasn't. So he's decided to throw a bit of a wild card in here as Macquarie has finally come in for his stop, and 38 seconds later, a fresh car, repairs done. I don't think he's taken his fast repair. Bit of a... Oh, no, he just took his fast repair. But he did spend a lot of time stopped in the box relative to everyone else. So my guess is Macquarie has fueled his car up all the way to the end of the race, and he'll be hopefully able to make the tyres last as well.
We've got 35 laps to go. It's about to be 34 laps to go. So I believe based off the maths that we've been given, these guys should be good to the end of the race fuel-wise, no matter what happens, even if we stay green the rest of the way. The one factor that will be in play, we just got over 20 minutes remaining in this race. So who will win? It's time or laps. I'm not too sure. I think I'm leaning towards time, unfortunately, at the moment, but if they stay green, I reckon we might be able to slip this race in.
Yeah, maybe. Connor Nixon gets waved around the pace car and back onto the lead lap for him. So that will be his drive-through penalty negated from here. He'll have another chance to fight up through the field and help out his Drop Bear Motorsport teammates of Tyson Broad and the number 3 of Dylan Walker. So now we turn our attention back to the restart. Lights are off on the pace car, and Greg Patrick is going to lead the race from here. Patrick obviously counting on another caution. He'll, if another caution does come out, he'll come in, fuel his car up to the end, as presumably everyone else would go in to get a fresh set of tyres on. But it'll be interesting to see what Patrick does here on this restart, how hard he's going to fight with everyone else.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be interesting with Greg Patrick. If we stay green for the rest of the race, he's going to be screwed. But if we do get a caution or two, he might not be affected too badly, but his pace hasn't been outstanding tonight, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes off the front. We're green flag racing once again. Started lap number 78 not too long ago in this race. Tyson Broad already looking to the inside of Greg Patrick. And here comes Scott Rankin as well, Michael O'Brien. We've got a four-way battle already into turn one for the race lead.
Oh, Patrick coming down on Rankin a little bit there, and they almost come together. But O'Brien, aggressive already, going back to the race lead. And here comes Thomas Hinds in the background, trying to make a move on the DPR car of Daniel Edmonds. That once again, Hinds and Edmonds, the championship top two, as there's contact between Edmonds and Glasspool. And around they go. 3 DPR cars spun or on their roll hoops here. Reese Margetts was involved in that too. Edmonds on his roof. That is disastrous for Edmonds. He will not be able to fight with Hinds for the championship lead from here.
That's some very awkward contact between the two teammates of Glasspool and Edmonds. My first thoughts, just having a look at it, looks like one car came up, one car came down, and unfortunate contact, and it's unfortunately got Margetts involved as well. So 3 DPR cars in that incident, a few other guys as well. So unfortunately, we're not going to say green for the rest of the race. Edmonds was on his roof. He had to tow, so he's going to be very much disadvantaged from this. And look at that, minor contact, but with going over 200 miles an hour, it turned into a massive wreck. And unfortunately for Edmonds, ended up on the halo of his car, sliding down the track. He has had to tow, so he's going to be very much affected. He's pretty much going to be out of the running for this race.
Yeah, I think with as little time as there is left in the race, there is no chance, and it's gone even worse for Reese Margetts. You see just how much he's struggling to keep that car going straight. He was trying to slow down for his pit box, and he's having trouble getting into it, has to reverse into it. My God, so much damage on that DPR number 110, but he's finally gotten back into it, and he's gotten the fast repair, and we'll have some ideally new tyres put on that car. Jimmy Glasspool also having made his way through the pits, 4.9 seconds stop for him. No one else has come into the pits save for Atsushi Osafune. Interesting to see that Atsushi, the Japanese privateer, has decided to come in. Was he involved in any of this? He sees the wreck happening ahead. He tries to come down, and he just avoids getting into it all. Had to take a trip through the grass.
He certainly did. Just avoided everything that happened in front of him. He was in the pit lane quite a long time, 15 seconds. So he's topped up. He's ready to go for the rest of the race. And now we are lap 80, so 31 laps remaining, but 16 minutes on the clock. So it's looking more likely we're going to go time certain in this race. So it's going to be tight if we do go the rest of the race green flag racing. I think we'll be pretty much on par with time and laps if we go green for the rest of the way. But by the course of the action tonight so far, I think we will probably have one more caution. I'm hoping not, but we'll have to wait and see, Reese.
Yeah, so 30 laps of the full distance remaining and 15 minutes worth of time. And considering that we still got to complete a lap or two under caution, it looks like, yeah, we are almost certainly going to be going time certain at this stage, especially if there is one more caution after this. So let's hope that the drivers have enough in them to give us a great race to the end. Michael O'Brien revving his car up in the lead there, it seems. He's trying to keep the engine nice and hot for the best run off the line.
Yeah, potentially. He's obviously not too worried about fuel if he's using the extra revs under the caution. So very interesting. Daniel Edmonds, he's now come out on track. He is one lap down. So Edmonds will be praying for another caution to get back out. But he is the second lap car down, so I'm not sure if he will get a wave around or it's just the first car a lap down. So hopefully, for his sake, he gets in front of his teammate Reese Margetts, gets another caution, gets on the lead lap, and tries to salvage a result because Thomas Indy's championship rival, position number 5. So it's going to be very interesting what happens for the rest of the way for Daniel Edmonds. And from our word from producer Jay, it looks like we'll definitely be going time certain with the lap time around here. So 14 and a half minutes remaining, probably about 14 minutes when we go green, Reese.
Indeed. Here we go then. 14 minutes will remain on the clock when we go back to green flag racing. The pace car just coming through turn 4 right now. And we'll dive down in the next few moments. So it's all down to Michael O'Brien to get the best start possible here. He's one of the drivers that has surprised us with his big runs off the restarts, and it's another one here for him. Oh, looks like a bit of a checkup in the mid-pack just behind. I saw a little puff of something. Ryan Jones making his way past Scott Kozlowski as the rest of the drivers try to work their way up through that pack. But the top 3 distant from each other, at least for the first couple of turns. Kozlowski involved in a fight here, and it looks like Macquarie right in it as well. 2 DPR cars and a drop bear car. 3 wide on their way in there. Kozlowski will fall back into line, so will Connor Nixon. James Glasspool trying to recover now from all of this. Daniel Edmonds has made his way back out on track, but he is a lap down, and O'Brien and Broad are battling for the lead.
Yeah, side by side for the race lead between O'Brien and also Tyson Broad. And Thomas Hins, he's had a mistake too. He's fallen off the pace. He's lost a couple.
Here comes Rankin
now, and Rankin now down the inside for the race lead. These guys will be watching the timer. Trying to work out how many laps to go. They're going off about 12 minutes 40 seconds left in this race. Scotty Rankin will lead lap number 84, but now here comes Michael O'Brien. Nearly contact there between Broad and Rankin, side by side into turn 1. And looks like Michael O'Brien will take the race lead right back from Scott Rankin.
Yep. Meanwhile, the pack behind is steadily advancing. Greg Patrick in 6th, but keep an eye on Harry Lawrence and Dylan Walker. They are edging ever closer to the top 3 as Patrick, well, he's the driver who's off sequence at the moment. 27 laps will be complete on this stint for Patrick. He's going to have to bring it back into the pits, I would gather, in the next few laps if he really wants to make it home, but maybe he'll be able to make it last, at least on fuel. I think his tyres will be well past their best by now.
And Dylan Walker just at the fast lap of the race as well, so late in the race too, so he's got a lot of speed. We've got a 4-way battle now for the race lead. Tyson Broad back into the race lead. Scotty Rankin 2nd. Here comes O'Brien now back down the inside. Harry Lawrence is right there as well, and Dylan Walker, who just had that fast lap, closing right in again. So now we've got a 5-way fight for the lead. And Hinsey, after a little mistake a couple laps ago, he's running as well. So we've got a 6-car train for the race lead. It's nearly 4 wide in turn 1 and 2 for the race lead. Rankin will lead off turn number 2, but here comes O'Brien on the outside. There's a train on the inside. There's a train on the outside. 3 by 3 down the front back straightaway race.
Yep, Harry Lawrence is the one on the outside looking in here. He's running high. He's trying to stay out of the slipstream through the corners to try and cool the car down. But when we get to the straight line sections, he's absolutely going for it. He backs off, though, coming into turn 1. Doesn't want to make the move on O'Brien just yet. And you see how high he's going. No one else is doing that, save for maybe Dylan Walker. I think Walker and Lawrence have the right idea here. They're trying to look after their tyres. They don't want to be running too low.
Yeah, I think the right idea is to try and run up as high as they can. And Lawrence is right up near the outside fence, trying to get some speed. So is Aaron Macquarie as well. He's making some speed as well. Rankin right down the bottom of the race. Here comes Tyson Broad, and here comes Harry Lawrence with 3 wide for position number 3.
Oh my God.
Harry Lawrence on the outside, nearly 4 wide. Here comes Peter Baxter out of nowhere on the inside. 4 wide for position number 3. Once again, Lawrence will clear him on the exit.
Oh my God, O'Brien and Hins!
Thomas Hins, no.
Oh no. Well, that's another caution, and Hinsey's drive shaft is destroyed. And the complexion of this race has changed two of the fastest drivers in the field making contact coming out of turn 2. It was all started by that lunge up the inside from Peter Baxter. Keep an eye out for him here. He goes for it in turn 1. Kinsey has to wind out of the steering, and a little bit of disturbance there as Baxter went alongside. Hinsey washes up the track and has no choice but to go into Michael O'Brien.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's just a part of end of the race in the IndyCar race. Everyone's driving so hard, and pushed a little bit of disturbed air there for Thomas Hinz, unfortunately, into the side of the other car there. Unfortunately, he's going to be right down the back of the field. He's hoping he's going to stay on the lead lap. He's going to get a fast repair, praying that he stays on the lead lap. Daniel Edmonds is the lead car a lap down, so he's going to get a wave around. So we're going to potentially have Thomas Hinz and Daniel Edmonds will be at the back of the field on the lead lap. The two championship protagonists will be racing together for the final part of this race. So interesting stuff for the championship.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. And depending on how looks like Hinz's pit stop was nice and short. He took his spare car there. Only 8.9 seconds elapsed in the pit box for him. Also coming into the lane with a pretty aggressive pit entry was Tyson Broad. Yeah,
it looks like Rankin faked him on the pit entry there, and whether Broad was going in already, I'm not sure. Rankin was clear on the exit, so the fake was will be deemed clear. There's a few guys in the pits. O'Brien, obviously, with that contact. Asafune, Patrick, who pretty much had to pit. Also Tyson Broad, Dylan Walker. So there's a few guys. Tyson Broad, he's been right at the front for most of this race, taking a gamble now to come from deeper in the field with fresh tyres. And Dylan Walker now has been given an end-of-line penalty for contact with the 106, which was Aaron Macquarie. So fortunately for Dylan Walker, who's just came in the pits, he's going to be further penalised and be right down the back of the field.
Yeah, that was for the incident that took Macquarie out earlier. It's a very long time for that penalty to come in. I think race control were debating over that for a long time. Margette waved around the pace car. Daniel Edmonds as well back onto the lead lap. But yeah, shame for Dylan Walker. Obviously, there would have been extenuating circumstances in that incident, but at the end of the day, he did make contact with the rear of Macquarie, and that is worth a penalty. So, let's see what Macquarie can do here. He's going to take this restart in third. Remember, he started in second. I mean, looking at the positions gained and lost here, it's a huge jumble. Rankin's up 12 spots. Lawrence is up 7. Macquarie is 1 down from where he started. Nixon and Ireland both up 8. Glasspool and Zaslowski both up 11. So there's a lot of big stories coming out of this one as the two drivers that were waved around just in time get to the rear of the field as the green flag flies again. Scott Rankin will lead on what will maybe be the final green flag run of this race. There's 6 minutes and 45 seconds on the clock here, which means only about 12 or 13 laps worth of running, maybe 14 if we can get it in. But Rankin versus Lawrence at the front of the field. The caution's going to come out again. Oh no, Ryan Jones and Peter Baxter. And yeah, race control will call it once again. This means we're only going to get about a 5-lap dash or something right at the end of the race.
Yeah, it looks like Peter Baxter, unfortunately, has just gone exit stage left. Trying to get around Connor Nixon there on the back straight, unfortunately, gets straight into the side of Ryan Jones. Unfortunately, major damage for both guys. Looks like Jones might have actually come away from that pretty well unscathed. I'm trying to look back. He actually didn't hit the wall, Ryan Jones. He actually just spun around and kept going. But Peter Baxter, major damage, we'll see on the bolometer replay, just goes straight left into Jones. Fortunately for Jones, not too much damage, but he's going to be right at the rear. And Peter Baxter can't be the same. Not the same for his car.
Lucky escape for Ryan Jones there. Obviously, there's a potential for some suspension damage for him, but actually the car looks fine from what I can see. So very lucky for Ryan Jones. But he's been out on those tyres for 17 laps. He didn't pit under the last caution, and they will be massively overheated now. He'll be hoping that they're back down to temperature by the time we go green again, and it's going to be potentially an aggressive race back to the front for Ryan Jones. Once again, you're hearing Scott Rankin, the leader, revving up the engine here. He's burning off the fuel. He's heating up the engine. The drivers know now that they are committed to a very short run to the end. They want to make sure their cars are as light and hot as possible.
Remember Thomas Inns, he was in that accident, that second last caution. He's already back up to position number 8, and his championship rival Daniel Edmonds down in position number 14. So big sway for Thomas Hinds if it stays as it is, but still a lot to play at in this race. Remember Tyson Broad, he pitted under that last caution as well. He's back up to position number 9 on slightly fresher tyres than everyone else. So watch out for the 27 of Broad. He's had some good pace so far in this race, and no further action as well between O'Brien and Hinds there. Incident earlier on. And Scott Rankin, we know he's been trying very, very hard. He's desperate for a win on the ovals. He says this is his specialty. I don't know about that, but we'll just talk some smack about him while we can. But Scott Rankin, he's very good on the oval. He's been quick every single round. Even the races I haven't been able to commentate, I've been watching along when I can, or will watch it back, and he's been very competitive. Unfortunately, hasn't had that result quite yet. Is tonight the night? Hopefully we don't jinx him. Just under 4 minutes remaining. Harry Lawrence looked quite speedy as well in the latter half of this race. Aaron McCrory is also right there, and Connor Nixon on his season debut in position number 4. So still a lot to play at. About 3.5 minutes remaining, and hopefully we can go green the rest of the way.
Yeah, Michael O'Brien, our pole sitter, is back in 11th place, but he was one of the pitters under the previous caution, so he's got fresh tyres on board. These guys at the front don't. Here comes Scott Rankin to the start-finish line to restart the race with 3 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock. And look at them go, coming into turn 1. A lot of space between our top 6 for 7th on back. It's a big battle. Tyson Broad getting past James Glasspool. Greg Patrick spins, and the yellow flag is out again. Oh, are we going to get any kind of good run to the line here? I don't think so.
I don't think we are, unfortunately. I think, trying to see what happened there, it looks like Thomas Hinds potentially taking dirty air of Greg Patrick, causing him to spin, but a bit of controversy off that restart. We'll try and get a replay after this. This is the Bolomir replay of Greg Patrick. We'll see
He hit
Thomas
the apron.
He hit the apron by the looks with the left front, spun the car around. We'll try and get a replay of the restart as well. James Glasspool sat a long way back of the guy in front of him and held up Thomas Hinds big time on the restart. Thomas Hinds was not happy about it whatsoever. So, bit of controversy late in the piece here between those two drivers.
Yeah, and poor Atsushi Yosafune getting cleaned up there by Greg Patrick. It looks like he's escaped damage. This is Thomas Hinds' onboard view of that restart, and you'll see Glasspool ahead of him just hanging back and hanging back. But unfortunately, yeah, that's it. Yeah, Glasspool just wasn't awake there on the restart, it seems, and Hinds lost a position right away to Michael O'Brien.
That potentially playing games race, DPR car holding up Thomas Hinds to try and help Daniel Edmonds? I'm not sure. I hope not, but looks a little bit sus as Greg Patrick's left front wheel is not cooperating whatsoever. He's made it back to the pit lane. Hopefully we can go take away the laps. We can potentially get a 2-lap race. Look at Greg. He's hard right hand down. Bit of a handful, unfortunately, for Greg Patrick. Are they going to try and take laps away? They haven't yet. Potentially maybe 1 or 2 laps left in this race.
Yeah, and it's looking ever more likely that we're going to finish under safety car here. So let's see if race control can give us a green flag restart. They're entering turn 1 at the moment with a minute left on the clock. Can they shorten the pace car and get us a 1-lap dash to decide round 8 of Fixed Indy Australia, the Fontana 220. Caution length has been changed to 1 lap to green, but will they be able to get around to the start-finish line in time?
But I think they will be safe just. I think we're probably about 5 seconds remaining is my prediction to get this race going. So it's going to be very, very tight. We'll have to see. We've got 32 seconds remaining. It's going to be very close. I reckon Rankin, he's going to slow it up the restart as much as he can because he doesn't want to do a 1-lap dash and potentially be overtaken on the last lap because that would be heartbreaking for Scott Rankin. He's going to slow it up as much as he can. 15 seconds now remaining. Right now, it's going to be very close. I'm thinking Rankin's going to back him up, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well, the white flag hasn't been shown to the drivers yet, so I don't think we're going to get it. But here we go then. Pace car in. It's going to be 2 laps to go here at Fontana, and Rankin will put the power down. The field is all in a line. This time there isn't a break in the pack. There is not James Glasspool slowing down Thomas Hinz. It is all on between Scott Rankin and Harry Lawrence for the lead of the race here. Rankin gives Lawrence just enough room on the inside there, and Lawrence will switch up high. Here comes Aaron Macquarie and Connor Nixon. Christopher Ireland is with them as well. Sislowski, O'Brien and Broad, our front pack. Rankin will still lead, but now the aggression will turn up. It is the final lap of the race. Who's going to take victory here? Contact for second place, and it looks like Scott Rankin is going to take it. Only 4 thousandths of a second between Aaron Macquarie and Harry Lawrence for second place.
53 thousandths of a second separating the top 3 race. What a finish. I'm glad we got that 1 lap in. Connor Nixon's got massive damage over the line. He still managed to end up 4th. Aaron Macquarie certainly sticked his nose in to try and get second place, which he did, but massive congratulations to Scott Rankin getting a well-deserved victory, one he's been sorting the whole season, finally gets it done.
Yeah, finally a win on the ovals for Scott Rankin after so much poor luck. He's going to park it up right here in the skid pad, and these victory donuts will taste especially sweet for the number 49. What a brilliant race that was.
Yeah, fantastic racing. Unfortunately played with a few too many cautions, but grandstand finish is always what we like to see, and in that department certainly delivered 53 thousandths of a second once again, separating the top 3. Look at Macquarie. I thought potentially had a chance to win, but Rankin covered perfectly at the last moment. Look at that. Nothing between second and third. Fantastic result. Also for Harry Lawrence, probably his best result for the season, and definitely on an oval from memory as well. And Aaron Macquarie, season debut, P number 2, but it's all that guy, the number 49 CX2 racing machine of Scott Rankin, taking victory here tonight.
Yeah, Rankin starting from 13th place, and he was one of the guys to dial up the aggression in the late stages. We completed 97 laps of Auto Club Speedway in this race, a lot of them at slow speed under caution, but there is the winning margin, 0.05 of a second from Rankin to Macquarie, and another 4 thousandths back to Harry Lawrence. It was basically a front wing. That was it. Connor Nixon and Chris Ireland will round out the top 5. Great results for the 2 of them, both recovering from incidents or penalties. Tyson Broad, 6th place. Solid finish for him. Sislowski will make it from 20th to 7th. Our pole sitter, Michael O'Brien, comes home in 8th, with James Glasspool and Dylan Walker rounding out the top 10.
And Thomas, more importantly for the championship, Thomas Hinz 11th, Daniel Edmonds 12th. So not much swing between those 2 guys heading into the final race in a few weeks' time. Asafoni in 13th, Reese Margetts 14th, Ryan Jones 15th. That was the last cars on the lead lap. Greg Patrick, unfortunately, 3 laps down. Peter Baxter, 6 laps down. Dean Jacobson, Jay Stern, and Robert Baxter, unfortunately, not having the best of nights here tonight. 20 cars started the race and 15 cars finished. But Reese, we're going to drag in Scotty Rankin, our winner here tonight at Auto Club.
Indeed, Scott Rankin finally on top in Fixed Indy Australia Season 2. Must feel good, especially with how intense those last couple of laps were.
Yeah, I mean, big shout out to the guys that were sitting in Discord with me, to both the Baxter brothers. They're a hoot to race with, and you know, the Pete Baxter curse will live on. But that race when comes down to their spotting abilities, they were talking me through those last few restarts and just saying, I said, look boys, I need to know anytime there's a caution coming out, and it took every trick in the book. There's a lot of IndyCar tricks that have been built up over several years in the car, and finally got to put them all on display.
Yeah, indeed. It was a very, very close battle. You were up the front pretty much all the way through. Must have been difficult not to just go for it, but at a track like this, you do need to back off in those mid to late stages to have a chance at running for the win.
Yeah, the trick to this car is actually backing it off to get the run. You actually don't want to come in and be hot on somebody's gearbox coming off a corner. You can't build up a run and take it somewhere. at Auto Club. So that's what it's all about. You've got to get that right side of your front wing outside of the car ahead, and get things settled down. So it was just about ripping the high side. I'm a high side bandit, and Brady will love that for sure. But any track where the high side's strong is going to be a track I'm good at, just because I just love being up there and the risk with running against the fence.
Well, that's the end of the regular season for Fixed Indy Australia. We still have one round to go, and that is the AOG Indy 500. I'm guessing you're ultra hyped for that.
Fun fact, as an oval guy, Indianapolis is my worst track.
Oh, okay.
So, look, I love it there. It's still about the history. It's still about the prestige of the event. And I've been seeing videos of Cam Dance versus Thomas Hens coming from the good old majors days, and it makes me want to get up there. But yeah, in terms of things internationally, I've got no standard at Indianapolis. I wouldn't qualify for a pro field there ever. It's just I'd have to do so much work, and I always feel uncomfortable with how narrow the track is. But yeah, look, I mean, we're going to be there. The benefit is that experience and the driving, and that driver graphic needs updating because another cat and now a puppy to add in there, and I think they'll all be celebrating tonight.
Indeed. Well, celebrations will continue for you, but before we let you go, Scott, who got it done for you today?
Yeah, big shout out to Maz, and he's been just awesome lately with the podcast. There's been so much. He's giving me passion to get back in the sim, to be perfectly honest. Big shout out to all the SimSpeed team. Can't say thank you enough to Jay, to Dan, to everyone that's around the sim racing commentary group. If you want to get into commentating, just message these guys. They're always looking for new talent on the up, and they took me under the wing and taught me a lot. And yeah, like I said, Neuropower, can't say enough thank you to Tristan Yelland. And other than that, big props to all the CX2 boys and Sam Katsakuznis, who's been very, very unwell, and he loves this place as well. Couldn't race tonight.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Scott Rankin. Hopefully catch you next time, as we have now our second place finisher, Aaron Macquarie, in the commentary box with us. Aaron, a bit of a late comer to the series from the UK, of course, but obviously having a lot of fun. Do you have us, Aaron? It seems we do not. We'll give Aaron Macquarie some time to sort out his microphone issues, but for now, Brady, it looks like you're stood by with Harry Lawrence.
All right, Lawrence, first off, congratulations. P3 finish tonight. Tell us about the race, because it looked pretty wild from our end.
Yeah, thank you, firstly. That was a crazy race towards the end there. Just couldn't get low enough of Scotty to take the inside, so I had to try it on the high side, but a lot of cautions, so not much I could really do. Just had to play the strategy right.
What was your thoughts coming into the race with this track? I only bought the track about 20 minutes before we went live. Never done a lap around here, so what were your thoughts with the track and how it raced? Obviously, it was played with a few yellows, but when it was green, what were your thoughts of how the track raced?
Oh, it was definitely one of those tracks where I could go 4 wide. It was a bit scary at the start. I haven't gone that wide before, but once I got used to it, it was fairly easy and pretty good to just run that high line.
Well, tonight marks the end of the regular season for the AOG Fixed Indy Australia Championship, but in a couple of weeks' time we do head to Indianapolis for the 500. So what are your thoughts heading into the big one in a few weeks' time? Potentially you may have lost Harry Lawrence as well. Are you still there, Harry?
I'm still here.
Yep.
Yep, sorry. I just said it's never done a 500 before, so looking forward to it.
Another big challenge ahead of you, but congratulations once again on the P3 tonight. Anyone like to thank before we let you go?
The boys over at Delta Sport, my team, and that's about it. Just the organisers who also put this event on.
Thank you once again, Harry, and hopefully we talk to you again after Indianapolis.
Thank you. Have a good one.
There is Harry Lawrence P3 here tonight, and Reece, I believe you've caught up with our second place guy, Aaron Macquarie.
Indeed, Aaron is with us now. Your first start in Fixed Indy Australia here, Aaron. You certainly picked quite a place to do it.
Yeah, it was great fun. Auto Club's always been one of my favourite tracks, but whenever I saw this in the schedule, I thought it was definitely one I had to get in on.
Well, you certainly came ready to fight, qualifying second and making runs for the lead from the very start, but it didn't quite go as smoothly for you in the middle stages.
Yeah, I got one wee bump. To be honest, I don't know if it's the driver's fault or whether it was a bit of netcode. Obviously, being in the UK and you guys on the other side of the world, there was quite a bad ping. I spotted it at the start, so I was very cautious. At the very start of the race, you may have noticed I just dropped into map 5 and cruised at the back. Worked my way backwards just to stay safe and sort of gauge how it would go. And then after the first round of pit stops, wanted to see what it was like from the back, and there was a couple of guys that was a wee bit slow to restart. So on the subsequent restarts, I didn't really want to move myself too far back, so I sort of stayed mid pack and just moved our way forward. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, certainly. Sorry for talking over you there, Aaron. Yeah, moving forward, you certainly did. And my question to you now is this just a one-off appearance, or can we expect you for the 500 in June?
I'd like to make an appearance at the 500, obviously. This is actually quite a good time slot for me. So, it's mid-morning over here in the UK, just running the run up to lunchtime here. So, yeah, all being well, I'll be there. Give it a go.
Excellent stuff. Is there anyone you'd like to thank for your second place finish before we let you go?
No. Just thanks for you guys for putting on a good series. Obviously, it looks like a lot of fun, and yep, I'll be back for more.
Excellent stuff. That's what we like to hear. Aaron Macquarie with a great finish in his first round of Fixed Indy Australia. And we say goodbye to him for the time being. And we're going to say goodbye to all of you watching at the moment. But don't forget, Tuesday, June the 18th, 8:15 p.m. Australian Eastern. Brady, the 500 qualifying night is going to be one of the highlights of the year, I think. I always love watching qualifying for an Indy 500, whether it's real or sim. And this is going to be just as fantastic.
Yeah, 100%. Recently seen just last 2 weeks actually, how crazy the qualifying format is in the real life Indy 500. So we'll be waiting to see what Dan and his crew have for their qualifying night, formats and whatnot. But Tuesday in a couple of weeks, looking forward to it. And obviously a couple of days later, I believe on the Saturday, we'll be doing the 500. So a big week of racing here for the final round of the AOG Fixed Indy Australia Championship.
Absolutely. Make sure that you mark that date down in your calendar and catch us again here on SimSpeed TV. Of course, the fun F3A Championship, and then of course on Thursday we'll be broadcasting Brady's baby, the Oceanic Dirt Sim Events Australian Sprint Car Championship. A big week once again here on SimSpeed TV. I'm Reese Gardner, Brady Baldwin with me in the comms box, Jay Kennedy behind the scenes. Big thanks to the crew at Aussie Online Gaming for putting all of this on, and to the drivers for putting on such a great show out on track. We'll see you next time.